by about 2000, and I'm just trying to think numbers, 2011, we probably had 10 to 12,000 people on our database. And I didn't have a hugely amazing idea of what to do with that, but I did used to send them personal EDMs once a month, once every 2 months, just saying what we were doing, putting up pictures of new items and that sort of thing. It would be reminding people to book for Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever it was, you know, and I always found that we got good bookings out of that. Nothing exceptional, but, you know, really quite good. And so what I would say is the most important thing that a restaurant can have is a database of their customers. We've been in business for 23 years, but in the last 5 years we've achieved a 50% growth in turnover. And that is purely, thank you, that is purely deciding, okay, I've got my database, what else can I do? We took on Dimmy and we have Res Diary, that was in 2010. What we used to do was post out birthday cards and with an invitation to come in, and we decided to cut through and be as generous as we possibly could, because the only way you're going to get someone to come in for something like that and to then be extremely grateful to you for it is if you offer something really worthwhile. So what we offered was up to $100 worth of food for them, just for them, if they brought someone else in who spent the same amount. And that was just an incredibly generous offer, and it also brought a heck of a lot of people in through the doors. And that's when we found that we started really building loyalty. If you haven't got a database and you're just starting with it, you've got to use someone else's. So you use Dimmy, you use Entertainment Card, you use American Express. If you take an American Express, then become part of their marketing programs. To be honest, do the 2-for-1s. I really do believe that they work.
It's not about just sending them an email for no reason whatsoever. You need to kind of have a purpose and an intent to do so. So something that we had some success with recently was a birthday coming up at the Butler. We worked with Dimmy to ensure that we had the platform to be able to do that properly. And what we did is we partnered up with a liquor company, and we got a good deal on some booze, pretty much for free. And we actually gave out a bottle of booze for bookings of groups of 4 or more.
But it's rather than I have to give it away, it's that I am getting, like, I am such a great venue that this supplier has come through me to then give a complimentary bottle to our loyal customers. Then you're seen as elevated, not like you're cheapening, if that makes sense. It's a little switch that once I figured it out, it changed our response rate and also changed the kind of customer that was taking up the offer.
So one of the things that is really important for us is customer recognition, and that's where our use of the Dimmy platform has been really effective, because we're able to recognise a customer. If they come to Omeggio or if they then go to Vialta, we can see that they're a repeat customer, or understand, make notes, for example, on their preferences, and then the next time they visit another one of our venues, we've got that to reference back to, and that that's been really successful for us, because customers are really amazed. They, like, even though that's quite a normal thing in this market now for the industry, it still continues to, like, blow a customer's mind when you go, all right, so you really like this style of wine, or you know, how was your visit to Omeggio last week, or whatever it might be. So for us, taking a customer who might not be an existing customer of one of our venues, but treating them like they are a return guest, that's been really good for us.
I think we're a very visually rich industry. You know, you eat with your eyes, as they say. And certainly if you're in a picturesque spot like you guys are, that's all to the good. And I actually think that it's very much a part of a conversation with your design and architectural team. If you're establishing new venues these days, you have conversations particularly with lighting designers now to ensure that it's an Instagram-friendly restaurant space.
How many of you have considered going down that approach, actually getting your lighting right just so someone can take a good Instagram?
Sometimes you talk to chefs about how they're plating their food and all that kind of stuff, to say, look, it doesn't have to look quite that bad, maybe you can look a bit nicer.
We make sure when we're designing spaces, whether it's like something neon or it's like just an arrangement of plants with some logo behind it or whatever it might be, there's Instagrammable places for people to take photos.
I think in the modern context with no booking venues, you have a wide world of social media that you must, I think, still engage with. I would say that beyond Instagram, the best places for you to go hunting are curated social media environments rather than the Wild West version of social media. So certainly for me, things like Broadsheet and Time Out and these places or in the 2000s and the 3000s that are curated environments for social media where you can be a little in charge of your message, and what you're doing really is just kind of you're telling your story, you're embellishing your brand, you're sharing experiences about what your venue is.
If you've got My Guest List or something like that, you can generate a QR code which you can then print onto your farmer's stand or whatever it might be, and people just click it with their phone and literally enter their own data. So skipping that step again for us, enter their own data into your database. So that's a good
Do you
shortcut.
reward them in some way to do that for you, or do people just do it? Or?
It depends what you're doing it for. So, for example, right now we're doing that for the new venue, and we're saying sign up. You'll be the first to know opening date, and you'll get something when you come the first time.
There's another way that we do,
Yep.
and it gives them a big incentive to sign up. There's a fantastic prize, and I mean really fantastic. We source prizes from people that want to partner with us, and we've got one at the moment which is a harbour cruise for 10 people on a beautiful yacht boat with our catering, champagne from Pommery, worth 20 grand. And that goes for 3 months, but someone is actually going to win it.
Yeah.
And then we've got the opportunity to get in touch with all those people, thanking them for entering, telling them who won, and then maybe giving them something as a consolation as well.
Yeah.
So, you can really...
You dangle that,
we can get 5,000 people, 5,000 new people in 3 months.
Yeah,
doing
wow.
that.
We try to also make sure that we're using the venue not just for getting other bookings in there on the downtimes. We try to make sure we're using it for, event launches, product launches and things like that. So part of our strategy is to make sure for the Butler, for instance, which has got the views and the nice dining room, we've had a event managers lunch where we invited people along that organise these things, and Ben and I hosted it and sat down and got to know them and just basically shouted them at lunch and told them how amazing the venue was and what we could do for them and gave them a bit of a package about how we could do that. So that's a great way to utilise it in the downtimes. And other things we do is we use it for, we have a lot of photo shoots and make money that way.
It's not always necessary to have a 7-day-a-week business, in my opinion. You don't have to be there every minute. Certainly if you're going to do X number of people throughout the week and you think that there's enough interest to do them in 5 days rather than 7, you probably should, so you get a bit of a life. Not every business of mine is open every minute of every day. In fact, Ides, which is a fine dining small place in Collingwood, we just do 5 dinners Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah, right.
And it only seats 35 people. But it's actually a profitable business because it's structured properly. I think we talk about this in a later session, but we look at how the business operates, what people spend there, what it costs us to run the business, what we pay in rent, all that. And it's actually a nice business, 5 dinners. So it's not a matter of sitting there thinking, I should be open, 7 days of lunch and dinner just because I pay rent, 24/7. That's true. But it's important to make sure that you're offering the right offer at the right time.